Good evening and welcome to the 2025 Edmonton Chamber of Commerce mayoral debate in partnership with Global Edmonton. I'm Caroline Devaney. I will be your host and moderator for this evening. Tonight, 5 candidates vying for the top job at City Hall will square off on the most important issues, hoping to secure your vote. The first 30 minutes will air on television, but you can catch the full 90 minutes on our website and all our streaming platforms. The 5 candidates, participants taking part tonight, were identified as the leading contenders in a Leger poll conducted between August 22nd and 25th. From left to right, we have Andrew Knack, Raheem Jaffer, Michael Walters, Omar Mohamed, and Tim Cartmel. Here are the rules. Each candidate will be given 1 minute for opening statements. Then the debating will begin on the issues of key interest in this campaign. With each question, candidates will have the opportunity to provide a 45-second answer, followed by free debate for 2 to 3 minutes. So let's get going with those opening statements. Once again, you each get 1 minute. The order of opening statements was determined by random draw, and we begin tonight with Andrew Knack. Go ahead, Andrew.
Thank you, and good evening. I love this city. And I know we can build a stronger Edmonton, a city with great public services and a responsible budget that keeps those services affordable. With safer communities, where we address issues like housing and homelessness with empathy, not indifference. And a stronger economy, where entrepreneurs and industries don't just survive, they thrive. In my 12 years on City Council, I've shown that I listen, I show up, and I deliver for Edmontonians. This is the hardest working city in Canada. And if I'm fortunate enough to serve as your next mayor, I will never stop working for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knack. Over to you, Mr. Jaffer.
Good evening. My family came here to Edmonton as refugees from Uganda, and through hard work they built a business and a better future. That success allowed me to become a member of Parliament in 1997, winning 4 separate times. However, too many of you feel that opportunity is slipping away. More than 70% of our neighbors believe our city is headed in the wrong direction, and they're right. Over the last decade, City Council has rubber-stamped nearly 40% in tax hikes, 37% alone from Councillors Cartmel and Knack, and 11% from our former Councillor Walters. Services are getting worse, but you and your families are paying more. We can't keep doing the same things with the same people and expect different results. Edmonton needs real change, change that puts you first. With my experience in building consensus, running a business, and raising a family, I'm ready to help build a city that works for all of Edmonton. Thank you.
Over to you, Mr. Walters.
Thank you, and this is very exciting to be here. My name is Michael Walters, and I'm running for mayor because Edmonton is ready for change. I have the energy, the experience, and the leadership to deliver that change. I spent 20 years in the not-for-profit sector, 8 years on City Council, and 4 years ago I stepped away to run a small business downtown. I love Edmonton, and I know how great it can be. It's where my wife and I have built our lives. We bought our home and raised our 2 sons. But over the last 4 years, our city has lost focus. Edmonton has become less safe, harder to afford, and harder to get around, with more folks than ever before struggling with homelessness and addiction. And with a city hall that talks a lot about vision, but has struggled to deliver on these important issues. This election is not about left or right, it's about leadership. We need to restore trust in City Hall by doing the basics right so that we have the confidence to do bold things. Together, we can build a city that is safe, affordable, a city we're proud of. Thank you.
Mr. Mohamed, you now have the floor.
Thank you. Tansi Salam, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Omar Mohamed. I was born and raised in Edmonton. As a youth, I've faced homelessness and food insecurity. I know what it's like to struggle to survive and to work twice as hard to get half as far. And like most Edmontonians, I'm upset with how our city has been run. So I've sold my pediatric dental practice and walked away from a stable income and career because I believe that the people of Edmonton are more important than a paycheck. And I'm ready to deliver solutions. My plan is clear. Freeze property taxes, balance the budgets, and stop piling on the debt. Edmonton doesn't need another career politician. Edmonton needs change and new leadership. And I am ready to serve. It's time to shine, Edmonton. Let's shine brighter together.
Let's hear from our final candidate, Mr. Cartmell.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tim Cartmell, a lifelong Edmontonian, a professional engineer, and a two-time city councillor. Edmonton is where my wife Kathy and I raised our family, built our business, and built our lives. I'm an engineer who spent 30 years building communities you can trust, solving problems, delivering projects on time and on budget, and asking the tough questions when the easy answers weren't good enough. That's the discipline and experience I'll bring to City Hall, because I know we can build it better. I know that a great city doesn't have to cost more. But the truth is, one mayor's vote alone can't change this city. That's why I created Better Edmonton, a nonpartisan team of leaders with diverse backgrounds who share my values and are ready to get to work on day one. Edmonton's best days are ahead of it, and with the right leadership, the right plan, and the right team, we will get there.
Okay. Just a reminder to please hold your applause. Thank you to all of you for the opening remarks. Now let's introduce our amazing panel asking some tough questions tonight. We have Doug Griffiths, President and CEO of the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce. We have Shay Ganem, host of the Shay Ganem Show on 880 CHED Chorus Radio. And we have Chris Hubner, President and CEO of Lloyd Sad Navicord. The first question this evening comes from you, Doug, and the first person to answer will be you, Mr. Knack. Doug, please go ahead.
Recent polling conducted for the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce indicates almost 60% of Edmontonians feel City Council is not on the right track. Do you agree? If so, what is the right track? And how would you, as mayor, get us on that right track?
Thanks for the question. So I do hear when I'm at the doors, some people expressing concern about specific decisions. I've felt that myself as well at times. Just a few weeks ago, we had a discussion about how to invest into our downtown and how to maximize that investment. I took a different position than the rest of council on that because I felt we need to make sure we're addressing issues like affordability, like safety, and making sure we're actually addressing the growth of our city. And so as mayor, what I will do is make sure to work with every city councillor, to connect with all of the community members, including members here that represent the business community, to be delivering on the common goals that we share, that we all agree on, which is creating a more affordable, a more safe city.
Thank you, Mr. Knack. You're up next, Mr. Jaffer.
Thank you. I think one of the things that I've seen that got me back out of my business shell into politics was the fact that we've moved off track when it comes to focusing on the basic services that a city should provide, hence why we have these property taxes that are unimaginable over the last decade. We need to sharpen our pencils, and I was part of a government that did balance a budget federally, and running a restaurant, I'll tell you after COVID, that's no easy task. I had to make sure I increased my services, but with a lot less than what we were using before, obviously all those challenges. I think we need that same kind of spirit and energy at City Hall. It's time for the wasteful spending outside of the jurisdiction of what the city services should be and focus back on the basics.
Okay, Mr. Walters.
Thank you. So as a small business owner downtown, I've had a front row seat to some of the challenges that our city's faced in the last 4 years, and I would say that we are not on track and we're not focused. I've seen the city become less safe. I've seen the city become less affordable. I've seen construction projects run amok all over the city all at once, and I've seen nearly 28% tax increases. I hear on the doors a lot of those same things every day from people, and so we need a leader with a plan in the next 4 years who's going to prioritize safety, who's going to prioritize affordability, fix our housing policy, fix our construction projects, and make sure that this is a city that we can feel proud of and we don't have to have 28% tax increases every 4 years to feel that way.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Let's move on to Mr. Mohammed.
Very good, thank you. So I would say also they're not on the right track. That's why I'm running for mayor. Property taxes are out of control for a lot of vanity spends. What accountability means to me is that there's a consequence to your actions or your inactions. Our elected officials are allowed to raise our taxes, blow through our budgets, put us further into debt, yet they all receive raises. As mayor, I'll hold myself and City Hall accountable by advocating for a change in the Local Elections Authority Act that would make any city municipal politician ineligible for re-election or a raise if they fail to meet 3 basic benchmarks for at least 2 out of 4 years. 1, freeze property taxes. 2, balance both capital and operational budgets. And stop adding to the city's debt. Thank you.
Mr. Cartmel, your response, please.
Thank you. I think we're all hearing a lot of the same things. People don't feel that the city's on the right track. They see their tax increases year after year after year. They see construction chaos on their roads, and they don't feel safe moving around our city. They don't feel safe being in our public spaces. They don't feel safe on our transit system. They don't feel safe on our LRT stations. So there's absolutely a critical need to listen to people. We intend to take a very people-first approach, a people-focused approach, to make sure that we're actually listening to people when they talk to us, that we're actually building the neighborhoods that people want to build, actually respecting established neighborhoods where they need to be respected, and actually building the city that all of us want to see.
All right, thank you, and thanks to all of you. And now we will open the floor to free debate. Mr. Cartmel, did you want to keep going?
Well, I think that part of the problem we have is that our current city council has just stopped listening. I can't tell you how many times that we in our office hear that people can't get a response to their queries or their comments. They cannot get a response to their email. They're struggling with what their current councillor is providing. And I have prided myself on, in my time at council, making sure that everybody gets an answer, everybody's phone call gets returned, and bringing the government to the neighborhood that I have the privilege of representing, instead of people trying to get to City Hall.
But Mr. Cartmel, you've been part of the problem. You said it yourself. If in fact you've been a councillor for 8 years, have you not been listening to your constituents? Because the level of frustration out there is a level I've never seen.
Well, and there's other issues than the ones that were brought up too. You know, one of the reasons that I stepped back into this race is I see 5,000 unhoused people. We have 8 times as many opioid overdose deaths in our city, and very little action on this. And I think so at a certain point, we have to look at ourselves as a city and say, what are we actually going to do about this? What kind of leadership is it going to take? Build new relationships with the province to make sure, because this homelessness and drug addiction issue is not left or right, it's now life or death. And we have to come together as a city to work with the province to solve this issue. We need more housing, we need more day shelters. In order for our city to be safe, we can't just be chasing people around who are vulnerable and addicted and mentally ill. We need day shelter space for the days for them to go. We need supportive housing for them in the evenings, and I think to help get their lives back on track.
But one of the things I think, Michael, that you're missing here is that the social side of things has to be repaired with the province. You have to work with the province. That's exactly
what I just said.
But with that,
we need all of us to work on that together.
You have to have an economic development plan that actually works. Not increased taxes, not more red tape, not more challenges for business. I can tell you from the people that have tried to run businesses on White Avenue, we've had a record number of businesses close because we haven't made the streets safe. We haven't made it easier for them to operate. The type of headaches I've had with the permitting department just to make small changes in my business is forcing businesses to look elsewhere, in particular around the area of Edmonton, not looking at investing in Edmonton.
That's why I released an economic plan this week that focuses on red tape, because it is killing jobs in the city. So my plan is to focus.
What did you do when you were in council the first time around?
Well, I pressed forward.
That's going in one direction.
I'm proud of a number of the things I did when I was on council the first time, particularly in creating the industrial concierge service to help large industrial projects get the help that they need to get the permits that they need, while they were trying to get the financing to bring that investment to Edmonton.
Sorry, Mr. Walters, we just have to move on to the next question.
But I'm proud of all that work.
The next question will be from Shay, and the first person to answer will be Mr. Jaffer. Go ahead, Shay.
Thanks, Caroline. I want to talk about basic city services. Snow clearing, garbage pickup, pothole repair, some of the core services that Edmontonians rely on every day. What could the city do without to maintain or improve the level of those services?
Well, I think, excellent question, thank you. I think this is something that I've heard from people.
Sorry, I'm hearing, I don't think your mic was on. I might have to read the question.
I can repeat it if you want.
Sorry?
I can repeat it if you like. It was just simply about basic services. I just don't want to run out of time, if that's okay. It's about getting back to basic services, filling potholes, dealing with snow removal, dealing with the things that we know we entrust, transportation, dealing with the things that we know we entrust our city with people who we hope will manage these problems or these issues in a way that actually gives value back to taxpayers. I've asked so many people knocking on doors, do you think with the proposed property tax coming this fall, do you think you're getting value for services? Are you getting 30% more in services from your city hall? And by far and large, everyone says no. They're just so frustrated that a city is not focusing on those core services, but instead pet projects on infrastructure, pet projects on other things that are not in the lane of the city. This is how I would go back to be able to focus on those basics and ensure we meet our budget.
Mr. Walters, let's hear your answer.
Yeah, so those basic services, snow clearing, road repair, garbage pickup, cutting grass, these are the first things that your tax dollars should buy. And this is what people understand. I've door knocked in neighborhoods, new suburban communities that didn't even see a snowplow last winter, not one time. And when one person tells me that on the door, you wonder, but when you hear 12, 15, 30, 20 people telling you that, this is why road construction is a mess. We need to fix this. We need more services and more snow clearing in our residential neighborhoods. We have weedy boulevards that make the city feel less pride, make people who come here feel less pride, and we have long grass on soccer fields. We need to increase frequency of neighborhood clearing or neighborhood snow clearing. We need to fix our construction messes, and we need to cut our grass. Simple.
Mr. Mohammed, up to you.
Thank you. Edmontonians want a city government that focuses on the basics and gets them right. That means making sure our core services are reliable and well funded. Police, transit, roads, snow clearing. These are not luxuries. They're the essentials that keep our city running. City Hall has prioritized shiny new projects while neglecting the fundamentals. So my commitment is simple. Bring fiscal discipline back to City Hall by focusing on the essentials first, cut the waste, and ensure we deliver dependable, high-quality services without constantly reaching deeper into the Edmonton taxpayer pockets. We deserve a city that works and a mayor who puts people over projects. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, Mr. Cartmel.
Thank you. So we certainly need to reduce the tax burden and shift that burden, reallocate the dollars that we already take out of our economy, and focus on core services. It might sort of alarm and surprise many of you to know that our total tax revenue between 2021 and 2025 went up $600 million. $600 million comes out of the economy every year, more than it did in 2021. Those dollars need to be reallocated to the core services that Edmontonians want most. We need to start listening about construction chaos. We cannot close every road in the West End and expect the West End to get around and survive and thrive, never mind our downtown to thrive and survive. If that's why, at my suggestion, City Council established an infrastructure committee that will review these these projects and these envelopes of projects to make sure that we don't create this chaos again.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, Mr. Knack.
Well, Edmontonians deserve reliable city services, and they shouldn't be surprised when they're opening their tax bill. But at the same time, we have to recognize that this city is growing rapidly. We've added 200,000 people in the city over the last 4 years. Most of that happening in new areas that do actually require services and amenities. So I think we do need to be honest with ourselves about providing those services to those growing areas. And what I'll come back to is that you deserve someone who actually has a track record of reducing the budget. Over my 12 years on council, I'm the only current or former member of council who has measurably reduced the budget by over $80 million through motions that I've made. And I've already made a motion to restructure how we'll budget going forward. But we have to be thoughtful about how we're doing that so we don't cut back on the key services.
Okay, let's move on to the debate portion, and we didn't hear from you as much in the last free debate, so why don't we start with you, Mr. Knack?
Yeah, and I would go back to this point about, I appreciate everyone saying, let's freeze property taxes. What are you going to cut in order to accomplish that? How do we, I mean, we have this growing city that
Well, let's start
demands
with
this.
land development, Andrew. Let's start with competing with the private sector. Let's stop doing the things that the private sector can do for this community and let the government focus on things that people can't do for themselves and what the private sector won't do for this community.
Well, and
there's all kinds of efficiencies to find in our budget.
It's also a myth. It's also this myth that we bought into that you have to raise taxes every year for services to stay the same or shrink. Like every dollar we spent last year, we have to spend again this year, next year. That is not true.
Yeah, but again, Michael, under your leadership, the smoke-free budget didn't change for 15 years, and all kinds of roads been added to the city in the last 15 years. How does that work?
Look, Andrew, I don't think you should be such a defeatist. I don't think we have to cut services and suggest any sort of irresponsible way to run a budget. You talk about reducing budgets, but you voted for increased property taxes, so that doesn't add up to me very much. I think that in the end, as I said, one of the things that the city has to do well is sharpen its pencil. It's out of the lane. I'll say I don't disagree with Mr. Cartmel when he says we have to look at other options to be able to bring investment in the city and curb the pressure on raising property taxes. But I think it might be a little bit disingenuous to say that you cut budgets when you raise property taxes.
Mr. Cartmel, just one at a time. One at a time, please.
22% and adding $100 million in police officers doesn't make much sense either.
Go ahead, Mr. Mohammed.
It's going to take it's going to take leadership. That's what it's going to take.
Let's give the floor to Mr. Mohammed.
Well, I know freezing taxes, balancing budgets, and stopping borrowing won't be easy, but the goalpost has to be there, or else we'll keep digging ourselves into debt. My opponents, they talk about fiscal responsibility, then approve and dream up crazy pet projects, like a gondola down White Ave like Tim Cartmel here, or a bullet train to the airport, or $500 million rec centers like Andrew Knack. I'm not here to sell dreams. We need discipline, and that's what I'll deliver.
Most people recognize that we do need a train to the airport in the fullness of time to help grow this economy in the way that we need to grow it to add to our tax.
We need to be clear that
we can't be too glib about this.
Freezing the capital budget means we're not building the 4 fire halls that we need in our suburban communities.
At 28, fire hall.
We need to invest in the infrastructure. What about all the people who need the roads that we're talking about? What about the investment? And how is a rec
Please hold your comments. I think you just let him finish.
I would say I don't see how a recreation center and a library is frivolous. These are amenities that people in new neighborhoods expect. If you're in an older neighborhood, you should expect that your infrastructure gets renewed.
But
and to say that we're not going to do
not
this.
ones that look like works of art.
I think it's the cost overruns and the delays and the extra interest and the extra debt servicing that essentially cancels out any money that you tried to save in the operating budget through motions over the years. It's long gone. Plus the 28% tax increase we're going to see in this term.
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt. That's our time. We're going to switch gears and go to our next topic. Chris, the floor is yours for the next question. And Mr. Walters, you will be the first one to answer on this one.
The number one issue in a recent Chamber survey was lowering taxes. During the last 4-year term, city councillors voted to increase property taxes by just over 17%. How do you propose to address the issue?
Thank you. So this is a really important question. It affects seniors, people on fixed incomes, family-owned businesses the most. And the other side of the coin is it's destroying our competitiveness. When our tax rates are too high, we're losing business to Niskayus, the Parkland counties, our competitors in other parts of the region. And this is really, really important. So we need, firstly, this year to reduce the property tax increase at least by half. We cannot afford to put 6.8%, an additional 6.8% on the property taxpayers in this budget. And going into the next 4-year budget, we're going to need substantial budget reform to make sure that we are spending on the right things, stop spending on certain things, and make our city competitive again for economic growth, which is going to add to the pie.
All right, your time's up, and Mr. Mohammed.
Very good. We absolutely have to lower property taxes. Our mill rates here are double that than our surrounding areas. And it all comes down to fiscal responsibility. And what that is spending what you have. No more than that. No different than your own household. And City Hall is supposed to spend your tax dollars wisely on things which benefits all of us. Instead, they've poured hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars into what I call vanity pet projects. That's why I will freeze taxes, balance both operating and capital budgets, and stop piling on our debt by launching a zero-based budget review, pausing all non-essential major capital projects, and grow the residential and non-residential tax base so there's more people paying into the pot, not continuing digging into our pockets. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cartmel, your turn.
I'm glad Omar read my webpage. You know, it's the thing that we absolutely need to do. There's effectively a fundamental concept here, and that is if we're going to reduce the pressure on people that are already in Edmonton paying taxes, we need to increase and improve our non-residential tax base, our business tax base. We need to lower the mill rate for businesses. We need to give those businesses that are reinvesting in their property and bringing the employment and the improvements that we see in our city a deferred tax, effectively a tax break for a few years while they get on their feet. And we need to get our downtown back. If we get our downtown property values back, our core back, that takes the pressure off the rest of the city, and it takes the pressure off homeowners. It's increasing the tax pool that's going to get us out of this problem.
Mr. Knack, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So it's both increasing the tax pool, but it's also restructuring how we budget. So I'm going to come back to, again, what I've already done. I've already passed a motion late last year that's going to restructure how the City of Edmonton budgets in the next four-year budget cycle. So this is actually getting to set a reset, helping to determine the right priorities, and making sure we're doing that with Edmontonians, the business community, and everyone. Because again, what I'm very worried about, what I'm hearing here, is that we're suggesting that somehow we're rapidly expanding this city and that we're not going to actually fund the critical services that people expect in this city. When you're adding new land to cover, you need new police officers. You need more crews to get out and clear that snow. So we have to be honest with the people that we serve, that does have a cost to it, but we'll restructure the budget and do it in a way that prioritizes appropriately.
Thank you, Mr. Knack.
Well, I think we've tried that, but I believe we have to freeze the greed. And in fact, I want to cut back this proposed 6.4% increase to property taxes coming in 2026. That's in itself would save job creators, homeowners, $142 million immediately, which will be reinvested into the economy. The other thing I can't believe that happens at the municipal level is there are no provincial audits on any of the, including financial audits, on the entire city administration, including agencies, boards, and commissions, and councils. And I believe by sharpening our pencil there, we could find $400 million quite easily to allocate into the areas of tax reduction rather than more spending. And then I believe we can, with that money, roll back the taxes to 2021 because we're becoming completely uncompetitive.
Okay. Let's move on to the free debate for 3 minutes, and we're going to start with Mr. Mohammed.
All right, well, we might as well talk about fiscal responsibility again, because by 2026, Edmonton's debt is going to hit a record high of $5 billion. And we're going to be spending over $500 million a year just to service this massive debt. That's our third largest expense due to reckless spending. $80 million we spent on electric buses that are destined for the scrapyard. We spent $500 million on just 2 recreation centers, and over $170 million on bike lanes to nowhere. My opponents, they say the words fiscal responsibility, but their record says otherwise. As mayor, I'm going to bring real fiscal discipline back to City Hall. That's how we control our property taxes.
Mr. Mohammed, we actually only just have 1 minute left, so I'm going to let the others jump in.
So I think, to Councillor Knack's point that, you have to keep up with growth, I think we all realize that that's true. We have to keep up with growth. But the last 4 years have seen the largest tax increases that we've ever seen since I've lived in Edmonton for 30 years. It is not necessary to increase taxes that much to keep up with the growth that's important to all the new neighborhoods we're building and the renewal projects that we need to keep Edmonton moving and keep it functional. That is absurd. We have, on top of that, the pressures on families from an affordability perspective, 9% tax or increases to transit, 10% increases year over year to housing rental costs in our city. This has been a very expensive 4 years. Taxes is only part
of the problem. Is that Michael left us with
a real
mess at the end of his term at council. We can talk about electric buses. I think Andrew's going to have to answer that one. Quite frankly, we're just going to have to get control of this tax issue by reallocating the dollars we already take. On the one hand, raising taxes to
Sorry, Mr. Cartmel, I have to jump in. We're out of time for our viewers on conventional television, but you can keep watching our live stream at globalnews.ca or on any of our streaming platforms like Prime or Roku. You can also check us out at our YouTube channel, Global News YouTube channel. So we're going to take a quick break. If you can grab a sip of water, and then we'll dive back in with more questions. Thank you.
Now the gloves can really
Is my mic on? Hello. Okay, so our live stream continues, so we're going to jump right into question number 4. We're going to keep moving because we still have a lot of ground to cover. Our next question will be from Doug, and Mr. Mohammed, you will begin when he's done. Doug?
Edmonton's unemployment rate remains among the highest in Canada, while our GDP growth has consistently lagged the national average for more than a decade. At the same time, commercial property taxes are nearly 50% higher than residential rates. To keep Edmonton a competitive city, what specific actions will you take to attract investment, create jobs, and ensure a fair and balanced tax burden?
Very good. Thank you very much for the question. Our competitiveness has slipped. Non-residential taxes are amongst the highest in Alberta, and our permitting delays and frustrate investment. Meanwhile, Calgary and surrounding municipalities are pulling ahead. As mayor, I'll restore Edmonton's competitive edge by freezing taxes, streamlining approvals, and revitalizing downtown. A vibrant, safe, and affordable city is the foundation of a competitive economy. We cannot afford to keep driving businesses away. Edmonton must become the first choice of investment, not the last. Thank you.
Over to you, Mr. Cartmell.
Thank you. 98% of job growth in any city comes from the businesses that are already here. 80% of our business in this city is small businesses, companies with employees that are family-owned or have 10 employees or less. Our focus needs to be on reassuring those companies to stay here. They're going to need confidence that this is the city that they can invest in, build their company in, keep their employees, have their families here. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to give them predictable, stable taxes, predictable, stable spending and budgeting, and a safe city, a city that has a zero-tolerance attitude to the disorder that causes so many people pause when they think about investing in this city.
Mr. Knack, you have the floor.
Thank you. If you want to build a home right now in the city of Edmonton, we're actually the best in the country. We need to have that same approach for all businesses that want to be setting up in our city here. So we can take from the technology that we're already using to streamline that process on housing. We should be able to apply that to our entire business community. We should be able to match up with what the city of Calgary is doing, where we actually have business concierge managers, not just for the largest businesses, but also our small and medium businesses that have the greatest trouble navigating the system. This is how you're going to create a streamlined system that saves time, encourages more people to start up their businesses, grow the non-residential tax base, and that's how we're going to be more competitive throughout the city here.
Thank you. Mr. Jaffer?
Thank you. You know, I think we still have a problem with permits in this city. They're about 1/3 behind in certain areas of development, which causes huge problems when it comes to people who are predicting investment in this city and want things to be done efficiently. If we don't get that under control, it forces people to look elsewhere where they want to invest. And I've heard from a number of businesses recently, even though we've had some trickling in, they're looking outside the perimeter of Edmonton because often they don't have to pay the same levels of business licensing. They don't have to pay the high taxes, and they're welcomed with open arms in those areas. That's the energy that used to exist in this city when I represented it as an MP. I used to sing the praises of how this city had the type of energy and investment that it was unparalleled given a city as far north, as far cold, and as small as we've been. We need to get back to that.
Thank you, Mr. Jaffer. And your answer, Mr. Walters?
Yeah, so as the next mayor, I will sing the praises as this city's biggest fan every single day, because that's what you need in a mayor, is someone who loves the city, who will champion this city, and recognizes that business is a really important part of our city and our ability to dream and do anything. I've had the firsthand experience of running one in the last 4 years. I get how exciting and terrifying it can be at the same time, and we have to appreciate that and understand that about our business community and have their back. I've talked about in my economic plan at michaelwalters.ca/economy, some of the highlights are we need to put together a Mayor's Advisory Council and attract 10 major new employers here by 2025. We need to deal with our permits because red tape does kill economic growth, and we need to invest in our downtown. We need to save City Centre Mall, and that is one of the important parts of our downtown that needs work immediately.
All right, Mr. Jaffer, why don't we have you kick off the free debate on this topic? And just a reminder, one at a time, because we can't hear you if you're all talking at once.
Michael, I think it's interesting you're saying you're running a business when you're accessing government contracts. I think you're in a different level than many of us that actually fight
very
on
few.
the street
That's
to
not
actually run
true.
a retail business.
That's untrue. Most of our contracts are private sector contracts.
Just one at a time.
If you see the damage that's been done by poor policy making, I'll go to White Avenue. That place used to be thriving back in the day. And now you see for lease signs everywhere, you see challenges. We're talking about stimulating the economy, but look, Michael also talks about investing in downtown. We've thrown records amounts of money in downtown, and where have we gotten? We haven't cleaned up the problem there and allocated the police to the areas that
we've gotten to this beautiful place.
Let's get Mr. Cartmel to jump in here. I can tell he wants to say something. This is a beautiful place
that we've gotten to.
So we took a quick look
Mr.
at
Cartmel, go ahead.
Michael's plan, and first of all, that would raise taxes a further 4.5 to 5.8% per year. I don't think the people that I'm seeking to represent really want us to spend more tax dollars on things like chasing 10 unicorns or buying a mall. What we need to remember is that we are subject matter experts in things like construction, engineering. We have 8 major academic institutions here. We are a tech hub here, but we're siloed. If we can break down those silos, if we can help our tech industry and initiate our tech industry to help those industries that we're already leading to become more productive, then that production will stay here. Their employees will grow here. Their businesses will grow here. Chasing unicorns is not going to change the economy.
This is why I proposed a single economic development plan for this region, not 10 or 5 or how many we have right now. A single one so we could focus, so we're not chasing unicorns, so that we can work together as a city to finally attract investment.
Sorry, I just want to give everyone equal time. Mr. Knack, can you jump in here?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you very much. So along with the investment that we're talking about in the city, we need to remember that part of attracting businesses here is building communities where people want to live in as well. And I keep coming back to what are we actually going to invest in to make sure that this is a place that people continue to want to move to? We're seeing so many people move here because they see opportunity in the city already. We've done a great job of actually bringing people here. Let's continue to refine and improve. But I'm really worried about sort of this attitude of just everything's going wrong everywhere.
But that's what 70% of the city thinks, or almost 60.
Then why is everyone moving here?
Well, the thing is, you're not creating the opportunities for those that are coming here. Like, I've never seen a level, and I've talked to many of the businesses in my area, the levels of resumes coming in and not the ability to hire because people's wallets are tight. And you've helped that problem by increasing the property taxes. I've heard that from a number of people that they're worried now that they won't be able to pay their mortgage, especially if you promote this other 6.2 increase this fall.
I think 2 things can be true at once. This is a beautiful city, and we love it here, but we have some challenges. We have to work together. We need better leadership in the next 4 years to make it safe, to make it more affordable, and to make this a city.
All right, our time's up. Let's move on to the next question. Shay, you have this one, and the first person to answer will be Mr. Cartmel.
I'll bring you back to the downtown, if I can. Edmonton's downtown, as you know, still struggling, very high commercial vacancy rates. Fewer people are working in the core ever since the pandemic. But at the same time, businesses are telling the Chamber they need a vibrant downtown to attract talent and investment, customers. So as mayor, what specific policies or investments would you prioritize to revitalize our downtown core?
Well, thank you for the question. There's no question that a city is judged by the condition of its core. So we can start by letting people actually get to the core. Closing all the bridges and all the roads at the same time sure doesn't help the businesses downtown. So let's get our construction chaos under control first. I would do is appoint somebody from within administration to be that downtown infrastructure czar so that we make sure that we're taking a holistic look at what's happening in our core to enable as many businesses as possible to thrive. We need to, again, reduce the corporate tax rate, allow those businesses that are investing in their business to have a bit of a tax holiday for a few years, and get that non-residential tax base back.
All right, thank you. Mr. Knack, your answer on core safety.
Thank you. We need to prioritize housing and safety to improve our downtown. We've heard that over and over and over again from community members. And on the safety side and both the housing side, this is why I'm really frustrated with the recent conversation that we had. We're looking to put in hundreds of millions of dollars to a new event park at a time where that doesn't actually generate new housing for us, where that doesn't improve the safety of our downtown. We need to be investing that kind of money in the things that we heard at council from the business community that will make a difference, which is housing. So we need to build more of it. We need to lean into that. We actually need to require some of it, which is not what we have in the plan that was just approved.
All right, thank you. Mr.
Tim,
Jaffer.
that's the second time I heard you calling for more committees. We need common sense, not more committees. I think one of the things that I've seen that is a big problem when it comes to downtown, and we've heard it from everyone, is the safety issue. I did a press release, a press conference in Chinatown where the businesses have been begging for more police presence, more ability to work with some of the provincial services in order to make the area safe. It's like a war zone down there, and the same thing is stretching around all over the city, the parts where people don't want to go out. They don't feel safe going out anymore, and hence, this is the reason I'm calling for more police. It's one of the most important things that you have to do to have that presence. In cities around the world where you have a significant police presence, crime is deterred. But you have to be at the table with the province. None of these gentlemen who've had a seat at City Hall have engaged the province effectively in ensuring we can address the social side of things too, because that's their responsibility.
All right, your time's up. Mr. Walters, you have the floor.
So certainly safety and the homelessness crisis we have in our downtown is holding us back, for sure. And we have to approach this intelligently and compassionately. As a small business owner down there, I know through our team members and our clients how challenging it is and what the mood is like. I spent the first part of my career working at Bissell Center. I know how hard people work helping our homeless populations today. What we need downtown, firstly, in our relationship with the province, which I will work very hard to build, is day shelter space. We do not have safe places for people to go during the day who need the help. That is number one. And of course, our relationships with our police service needs to improve. The politics has to come out, and partnerships have to replace it. That's what I'll focus on in my first term.
Thank you. Let's move on to Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you. Well, a vibrant downtown is key, and it should be really a bigger part of our tax base. The best way to revitalize downtown is by bringing people downtown. And the most powerful way we have to do that is through housing, not entertainment projects. If you want to really revitalize downtown, you have people live there, work there, shop there. That's what creates vibrancy every single day, not just on game night. That's why I'm going to offer tax incentives to developers who build affordable houses or offer them long-term leases and make it easier to repurpose underused buildings in downtown. When people live downtown, businesses also thrive, and Edmonton remains competitive. We also have to help our small businesses with their security with better camera, better lightings, and increased patrols of peace officers in core retail zones. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, let's debate for about 3 minutes. We're going to start with Mr. Walters. So
I was really proud in our first term working along with my good friend Councillor McKean, leading the housing initiative where we were able to build 438 units of supportive housing in our city for people struggling. We need 1,500 more units of supportive housing in our city of a variety of types to help people with different levels of addictions or mental health struggles. That is the right thing for a city to do and a city to focus on in relationship with the province. Our downtown will start to thrive once we've dealt with the homeless concerns, challenges for those folks, and made it safe. People love our city and are struggling with this reality that they can't enjoy our downtown and be as proud of our downtown as they like. Then the investment needs to come. Tax incentives for residential is important. We need 5,000 new rental housing units per year in the city to help make it more affordable. A lot of that needs to come downtown. And the arts play a huge role in our downtown, and they will get a lot of support from me.
We have 2 minutes left. We just want to make sure everyone gets equal time. Mr. Knack?
Yeah, I appreciate the suggestion around incentives to converting old office towers into residential. That's something I actually brought forward a number of years ago when I saw that the city of Calgary was going through this transition. I raised the alarm, brought this to City Council, and unfortunately we haven't acted on this yet. But that's what we actually need more of. We can do that investment, but we need people who are willing to take action instead of talking about it. I've taken action on this. I brought that forward already. That's the type of approach we do need.
But it was turned down with this
Let's
council.
go to Mr. Cartmel.
It was turned down. This council turned it down.
The recent deal struck with the province and with the OEG was just that. It was a partnership. It is a partnership. And in every partnership, you compromise. Some people get things they want, and you don't get some of the things you want. There's $180 million in provincial money that will go to support incentivizing housing, whether it's tower conversions or filling up empty parking lots, and Andrew voted against that, yet he says he's interested in housing. At the end of the last term, there was a 17-part motion that was effectively a defund the police motion, and yet Michael talks about building a relationship with the police. We've got career politicians here that are talking about things that they want to do, but they didn't do when they had the opportunity.
Well, you're a career.
Mr. Jaffer.
You've served as many years as I have.
If I could, one of the things
Let's hear from Mr. Jaffer. Go ahead.
More to politics
about downtown, like we've all offered some solutions. I think one of the things too are accessibility for people. I found I had so many complaints, especially from seniors in particular, who have tried to use either parking apps, and there's I think about 5 of them downtown or around the city. They think it's just madness. They can't. Some of them can't access them on the phone. I've lost sales at my restaurant from seniors that are just upset and can't even get a parking spot when they need it. But one of the answers to that, to help facilitate people to get back out and support their businesses, was to turn back the clock and have that free parking that was available after 5 p.m. on the evenings and on Sundays and on long weekends, especially if people didn't have to hassle to pull change. Well, they can't even pay with change now, but you can at least.
We got to wrap up
they would support
our discussion on core safety. The next question will be asked by Chris, and Andrew Knack, you will get the floor first.
Thank you. Construction is a major frustration for people trying to get around the city. Whether it's bridge and road maintenance or LRT construction, delays and cost overruns have also plagued some of these high-profile projects. Are you concerned with how we build and plan these projects? And if so, what would you change?
Yes, I'm concerned with how we build it, and that's why I made a motion late last year to change how we build. So this year we actually are trying out and have successfully seen the impact of an accelerated construction project along the Valley Line West LRT, where instead of keeping these intersections open for an additional 2 years, we closed them down for 2 months. We had crews working 20 to 24 hours a day, and they finished those projects all ahead of schedule. That's the type of approach we need. That's how we can take that success that we've seen, and we can apply that to all of our construction projects going forward. So it's simple as taking action. So I didn't want to wait to take action. I've already taken action. We're already seeing the benefits of that.
Mr. Jaffer, let's hear your answer.
Well, that's news to me, Andrew. I think so many people get stuck in traffic around this city. I don't know if your plan is actually working, but I think one of the things that we have to do is have the oversight. The oversight, I've never seen a city operating in a way where there's no oversight when it comes to how and where you put down construction projects, maybe how you move them around the city so you don't block every single artery that there is. All the bridges seem to be closed down all of a sudden one day or the other. You hit another construction area and you try to move away from it, you find 5 others. So I don't understand where the oversight's gone in the planning, and that's something I think we need to bring back to this city, the common sense that I'm talking about. And don't shut it down, because people need to get to work. They need to go back and forth. And I'm afraid that that's really left a lot of people dismayed.
All right, thank you. Over to you, Mr. Walters.
Yeah, thanks. And it certainly has never been harder to get around in the city than it is today. I think that we've been more interested in the convenience of contractors in how we plan projects than we are in the convenience of residents trying to get from here to there in our city. And I look at this as this is a governance challenge. I'm not running to be the city engineer, and I'm not running to be a project manager. I'm running to be the mayor, and the mayor's job is to hold administration accountable, and the administration and our city manager need to be accountable for a $7.2 billion capital budget that you are paying for and we're not getting right. So that is the first job that the mayor, that's the mayor's first job, is to hold our administration accountable, and on this we need to.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mohammed?
Well, Edmontonians and our business community are frustrated with how infrastructure projects are rolled out. Delays, overruns, and chaos on our main corridors are hurting small businesses and taxpayers alike. As mayor, I'm going to bring discipline and coordination to infrastructure planning by first implementing an essential infrastructure renewal plan so that we're maintaining what we have before we take on new flashy projects. Second, a smart staging plan so construction is sequenced intelligently. And third, a construction impact support plan. So when businesses are directly impacted by city-led projects, they aren't left to shoulder the burden alone. Edmonton can't afford wasteful spending anymore. Under my leadership, infrastructure will be delivered smarter, faster, and with accountability built right in. Thank you.
The floor is yours, Mr. Cartmell.
Thank you. So before I got to council, I spent the better part of 30 years actually managing infrastructure projects, spending other people's money, delivering those projects on time and on budget. And I can tell you that there's many more than one solution, many more ways than one solution to solve the particular problem of that project. There's many ways to attack these projects. And quite frankly, our city administration just is not looking for those ways. That's why, at my suggestion, we've created an infrastructure committee. But that committee, and Rahima is right, that sounds like more government, and it's not forever but for now. We need that committee to speak directly to council. We need private sector construction experience on that committee to change the culture in our construction project management group and then step away from that work.
Thank you very much. All right, let's open the floor to free debate, and we're going to start with you.
I hope you've got a lot of people lined up for all your committees. It sounds like a lot more bureaucracy.
Just one.
We'll get to you, Mr. Jaffer. We're just going to start with Mr. Knack. You can speak next.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead.
So yes, I think, well, good news, and I appreciate Dr. Mohammed's suggestion. We already have dedicated infrastructure programs to renew all of our major infrastructure, from our bridges to our roads to our communities. And this is work that we need to continue to do. Again, I'll come back to the point that we continue to grow rapidly. We need to invest in that infrastructure that we have. We already have those plans, and we've seen the benefit of those increase since we've been increasing the investment over the years. Our arterial roads, we have more money going into arterial roads than we've ever done before. But that also does generate more construction, and that's why we need to not stop investing in that infrastructure. But we just need to make sure we're doing it in a better way.
Okay, let's just hear from Mr. Mohammed, because we didn't hear from you very much in the last debate.
Thank you. With all due respect, Mr. Knack, you say that you have a plan and everything's coordinated and whatnot, but then you drive downtown, 104th Ave, Jaffer Ave is torn up at the same time. Those are two parallel arteries. That's absolutely ridiculous. When construction is on the roads there, you're putting businesses at odds with success. People can't access it. People don't want to go to visit those businesses. It's completely uncoordinated, so I strongly disagree. That's why an impact plan and a coordinated plan must be done, and it has to be done with better user-friendly access.
And I also wonder where...
If you can just hold your applause, thank you.
We know this, that you shouldn't be doing Stony Plain Road and Jasper Ave at the same time. The West Valley line and then 95th Ave at the same time.
But who asked that question
where the leadership
6 years ago when you voted
the people
for
on
these projects?
this current council, where has their leadership been in the last 4 years? And I think that's what we need, is leadership that's holding our administration accountable to these things, because that is what this city, that's what good governance is, a city manager's job is to make sure that the city is run well and built well.
We are out of time
built well of late
for this question. Let's go back to Doug Griffiths now for question number 7. And Mr. Jaffer, you will get to answer this one first.
Let's delve deeper into safety. Some Edmontonians say they're reluctant to visit the city's core. We've heard business owners and residents say crime and disorder are so bad they're on the verge of leaving. Is downtown safe? And what will you do to make people feel safe?
Well, and I agree that I've touched on that a little bit, but one of the other things, and Omar did touch about the cost of business, I don't think I've seen a level of investment required by businesses that they've ever seen in their lives when it comes to security. You see shutters everywhere you go now. You see extra security hired. You see all these costs that are unfortunately borne by the business people as a result of us failing to keep people safe, especially in places like downtown. As I mentioned, increasing the police presence is so important. I've heard that from the businesses. I've heard that having that presence deters crime. That's something that needs to happen. We have to clean and secure our streets. I find that many other cities you go to, they pressure wash their streets at night, especially entertainment districts. So first thing in the morning, everything looks clean. And I said free parking. That's another thing. I know it's small, but it'll help.
Your time's up. Mr. Walters.
Thank you. So as I spent every day the last 4 years downtown, my kids ride LRT to downtown, and I don't think we could describe our downtown as safe enough presently, and we need to do a much better job. I think people are frustrated all over Edmonton, but the plan is to take the politics out of policing and make sure they have the resources predictably to do the work that they need to do to keep our communities safe. Expand social policing. This is where police officers are working in concert with mental health workers and social workers to apply the right response to the right person at the right time. And we need to make transit 100% safe. And this is a tone from the top question. Transit needs to be for transit users, period.
All right, thank you. Let's hear from you, Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to start off that safety begins with security, right? We have to consider that as home insecurity goes up and food insecurity goes up, so does desperation and crime. So we have to address home insecurity first with housing first solutions, with wraparound services. And food insecurity, I'm going to address with a city-supported discount grocery store. Look at my platform. But enforcement's key as well. And people commit crimes, they end up in jail and back out on the streets, which is why I want to establish what I call a prolific offender task force, which is a collaboration between police officers, probation officers, prosecutors, and the municipality all working together so that chronic offenders don't bounce back and forth from jail. Safety is not negotiable. By addressing the root causes of crime with upstream solutions and stronger enforcement, that's how we make our city safer.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cartmel, let's hear. I feel like I have to enforce the rules more with the audience than the candidates. Mr. Cartmel, let's hear from you.
Thank you so much. So the solution to this safety and security problem is embedded in relationships. It starts with the relationship that City Council has with the police service. Quite frankly, they have not felt supported. They have not felt empowered as the extension of the community to solve the issues that we see, to be that first responder and bring the solutions, not just incarceration, but supports for those that need it and accountability for those who need it. We need to remember, too, that Edmonton is the jail capital of Canada. We have more cells close to Edmonton than any other city in Canada. We have more cells that are discharged to downtown than any other city in Canada. We need a relationship with the province and the federal government to have people that have come here for incarceration return to the community in which they committed that crime, so it's not a burden on the people of Edmonton.
Thank you, Mr. Cartmel. Thank you. Over to Mr. Knack.
Thank you. So it really doesn't matter if it is safe because Edmontonians don't feel safe right now. And we've seen it in the stats. Edmonton Police Service say we have the lowest crime rate in more than a decade. But when you actually go out and talk to people at their homes across the city, they're not feeling that. And so for us, it is about addressing the root cause. We have to stop waiting on the province and actually start taking action on these things that will meaningfully address safety and security. The City of Edmonton is spending on average about $91 million a year managing this. We're not getting good value out of that. We need to invest that in housing, into day shelter spaces. We do need to invest more in safety and security. We need to increase the number of transit peace officers to help with our transit system. But we need to take the action ourselves instead of waiting because it's not getting better.
Okay, we'll open the floor to free debate, and we're going to start with Mr. Cartmel, actually.
Thank you again. So I've had a number of conversations with our police service in the recent months, and they will tell you that our problem is not necessarily a resource problem, but it's a deployment problem. We need to return to the deployment of our police service from a community policing perspective. Visible presence on our streets and in our public spaces, but not in a top-down, condemning and incarcerating kind of a way, but having police officers that are present in that space that develop relationships with the BIA, relationships with the community league, relationships with the storekeepers that front onto that street, so they have a clear understanding of what is happening in that environment. And that starts with a relationship with the police service. That relationship that I talked about with the province needs to be restored. The problem we're fighting against, that I'm fighting against when I have conversations with elected officials at the provincial level, is the first thing they want to talk about are the current councillors.
We're just trying to give everybody some
on social
equal
media
time.
Where they're critical of those people.
Mr. Mohammed,
and I can't keep asking those questions.
Okay, well, thank you.
Our boys in blue are being strangled, to be honest. They've become a lot of pretty much mental health care workers for the most part. In terms of our public spaces, we can do this smarter. If we look at our public transit, 75% of Edmontonians fear becoming victims of violence on public transit, which is why ridership is actually down from where it should be. My plan is clear in that regard. Turnstiles to keep ferry evaders out, increase peace officers and outreach teams on buses and trains, and zero tolerance for violent offenders. Better cameras, better lighting, and we are in 2025. We can use AI technology to greatly reduce our response times.
All right, we have about 30 seconds if somebody wants to
So
jump in.
I just want to say a comment about root causes. I've been working on root causes of social issues for most of my life, and I will continue to. But sometimes those solutions take a generation to realize, and we don't have time. Edmonton needs to feel safer. I've heard thousands of people on the doors tell me that this is their number one concern. They do not feel safe.
And if I
so we
could
need
just
to
say
invest in smart solutions that involve the police, involve partners.
Out of time, we got to move on.
I'm
sorry, Mr. Jaffer.
Violent crimes
we have to move on.
Up in this
Shay, why don't you ask the next question, please?
Yeah.
And Mr. Walters, you will get to speak first.
And I think this question is somewhat related. In the last 4 years, Edmonton has seen, as we've talked about, an increase in homelessness and a change in how we deal with it and with encampments in particular. Tied into this fact, the Chamber survey says 1 in 4 Edmontonians surveyed say that reducing poverty in our city should be a priority. So I'll ask you, how do you think the city has handled these related issues, and what would you do differently?
Well, I think it's been difficult to watch the numbers grow. 5,000 unhoused people presently, 8,000 or 8 times the opioid deaths that we've seen since 2021. I would say firstly that I never believed that encampments are the answer. I personally know my wife. Well, obviously I personally know my wife. Well, I know my wife works in a wound care unit at a local hospital where she sees the results, frostbites and burns and all kinds of wounds that result from encampments. So never the answer, but the answer is a better relationship with the province to start. We have to figure this out as a city. Like I said, it is not left-wing, it is not right-wing, it is life or death. And that relationship is the most important thing that we can work on immediately.
Mr. Mohammed, let's hear from you on this now.
Well, experiencing homelessness myself, I will say that there are currently over 5,000 plus active homeless in our streets, including 50 children who are unsheltered outside. Unacceptable. Our police, paramedics, and hospitals are becoming overwhelmed, and taxpayers are footing the bill, which is why my plan starts with housing first solutions, with wraparound supports, addiction supports, mental health supports, and vocational services. Housing first means dignified, supportive, and immediate housing to those in need without prejudice or preconditions. This model has proven to work in cities around the world. As mayor, I will amplify this success because housing first works. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mohammed. We'll hear from you now, Mr. Cartmel.
Thank you. So they're both right. We need housing. We need housing with wraparound supports. But we need to acknowledge that our homeless population is disproportionately represented by people of Indigenous descent. I had the privilege and the opportunity to speak with Chief Cody Thomas from Enoch Cree Nation, and we talked about the concept of Indigenous reserves. This is where there's a partnership between a federal government and a local Indigenous nation where a part of an urban city has the opportunity to provide services to people from that nation in a caring and culturally sensitive way. And I think that while we need these things that these other gentlemen are talking about, this is the key to actually unlocking that opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Knack, you have the floor.
I think you're going to hear pretty common agreement about the solution here of building more housing. The question is how we do it. Do we keep waiting? Because we've been waiting for years now. We've been trying to fill gaps as a city for years, spending money, filling in gaps here and there, and then advocating to the province, writing letters to the province. And we're not the only municipality that's dealing with this. Municipalities across the province are begging the province for a plan of action. And the province hasn't delivered. So at this point, we just have to be willing to stop waiting and start acting, build more of our own housing, actually look at investing in mental health and addiction support run by the city. And I will try to work with the province, but if every other municipality, including those that vote overwhelmingly for this government, can't get it, then why do we keep waiting?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jaffer.
You know, I might suggest something. When I was fortunate to serve as a member of parliament, I had coffee with the mayor. I had coffee with the members of other members of parliament that may not have been from my party. I even met with the premier and the MLAs that may not have been from my party, because we could try to find common solutions by saying what brings us together. We all got elected because we want to make our areas better. How can we start from that point of commonality and move forward? Not this kind of deterioration between the different levels of government, in particular this city leadership and the provincial government. Without those two talking, without having coffee together, or without building the relationships, you don't seem to solve the problems. As Andrew said, they've been waiting 4 years. Well, you're going to keep waiting if he's elected mayor for another 4 years, maybe. Maybe we need change to this kind of relationship.
All right, we're moving to free debate, but I cut you off, Mr. Jaffer, in the last debate, so why don't you kick things off here?
Yeah, you know, I wanted to one of the things I think we do have to look at when it comes to homelessness in particular, and especially those in dependency issues, poverty issues, economic growth always helps pull people out of poverty, but one of the things I've heard loud and clear from businesses right around the city and residents, this shotgun approach where we have shelters in certain neighborhoods, services downtown, other types of things where we're not providing the services dead on to the people who need them in one specific area where there's a safe environment, where they're not preyed on by drug dealers or others in the community, is something we have to explore, because there are areas in this city that we can develop that kind of a wraparound service area and have the
let's just get Mr. Nakin and then you, Mr. Walters.
Yeah, I guess my concern is how many more coffees and sandwiches do we need to have at the province before they start doing their job? I've had numerous ones over the years. And at some point, we just need to start taking action. And this is the problem, is that we keep waiting, we keep saying, oh, if we just go along to get along with everything they do. Yes, let's try to work and develop a strong relationship, but when they're not doing their job, be willing to stand up and say it, and then actually take action, because people are sick of us pointing fingers at the province. Let's just move on with this, build it, and spread it around the city.
If we take on the responsibility for housing and mental health and addictions and healthcare, 28% tax will be the least of our problems. It is way too expensive. It needs to be done in collaboration. It's a partnership. Not just coffees and sandwiches between councillors and MLAs. You have to use the business community. You have to use the faith community. You have to use the not-for-profit community. We need a mayor who can collaborate and can unify and bring people together, and then engage with the provincial and federal governments to get the resources we need to help our city and to help the people in our city. These people are not numbers. They're humans with families. They need our help. And another way to reduce poverty in our city for working poor people is freeze transit. Freeze transit fares for the next 4 years, I commit to.
We have about 30 seconds. Mr. Mohammed, go ahead.
I'll add one more point to that. Food insecurity in Edmonton is absolutely exploding. In fact, over 47,000 Edmontonians are using the food bank each month, which means 200,000 Edmontonians are having a hard time putting food on the table. That's why I'm going to pilot a nonprofit, city-supported discount grocery store in the neighborhoods which need it most. Please look it up. Thank you.
Okay, this is obviously a hot topic, a very complex one, and you're all very passionate, but we have to shift gears here, and we turn our attention to Chris now with the next question. And Mr. Mohammed, you will get to answer first on this one.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chris.
Successive city councils have stressed it's too expensive for Edmonton to keep expanding. They say we need to become denser. The people living in established neighborhoods have blocked the city's plan to allow for larger, denser developments. How does your plan for infill balance these competing needs?
Well, it all really boils down to that Edmonton families are being priced out, right? And that hurts businesses and homeowners alike. My plan is to fast-track permits, reduce red tape, partner with developers to build houses faster, right? That includes infill projects and office-to-residential conversions downtown to add thousands of units. Housing affordability isn't just about compassion, it's also about competitiveness. If workers can't afford to live here, businesses can't hire here. So as mayor, I'll make sure Edmonton has housing supply needs for family and workforce as well. And just to put that out there, I believe we should be capping the infill at 6 units, but with parking requirements. That'll keep the lot sizes right. Thank you.
Mr. Cartmel, you're next.
So first of all, we need to respect established neighborhoods. We've gotten ahead of people. People have told us very clearly they want to have input into what's happening in their neighborhoods. We need to shift our emphasis when it comes to infill to those great big open spaces where we can actually create the supply of housing that maintains our housing affordability advantage in Canada. Spaces like Blatchford, the old Northland site, East Downtown, the West 240, South Campus, great big open spaces where you can build thousands and thousands of housing units that forestalls this affordability concern. The second thing we need to remember is that CMHC, in its 2025 housing outlook, said and continues to say that cost of housing is bending down, in part because our private sector is building the housing that we need, and our rental rates are bending down.
Thank you. Mr. Knack.
There's a pretty common agreement, even in mature neighborhoods, that we can't keep expanding the boundaries of our city. It's financially and environmentally unsustainable. There are some concerns about what's happened to date, and while there have been some changes made, there still need to be a few more. So I showed up to the vote on July 8th to reduce the number of units from 8 to 6 on a mid-block. I think that would have addressed part of the concern. We've addressed certain things like building massing, We've also need to change things like preserving more mature trees in those mature neighborhoods. But we can't walk it backwards and actually jeopardize our affordability advantage. Edmonton is the most affordable major city in Canada to buy a home. We need to make sure we continue to lean into that. And there's too many people under 40 who are feeling they can't do that right now in our city.
Okay. Mr. Jaffer, let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Tim, you said some good things, but yeah, showing up for the vote might make a difference. I know that one thing with responsible infill is that the concerns that neighborhoods have, Andrew, it's not that they have concerns. Their livelihoods have been cut in half. Some of these homeowners have had in-between cul-de-sacs. 8 to 16 unit developments makes no sense, no oversight at all from the city council, from the planning department. And I think one of the things we have to do is go a little bit further in those mature neighborhoods. We have to attach one parking stall with each dwelling to control what's happening, especially in neighborhoods with single family homes. There's lots of areas in this city that are underdeveloped. The Blatchford lands, whatever happened with that? Michael, I think you were involved with that. Is still not even dealing with development there. We have the Expo lands as well.
Thank
the Northlands
you,
Coliseum is coming around.
Mr.
Sorry,
Jaffer.
I get a little carried away.
Okay. Over to you, Mr. Walters. You
Yeah,
can respond.
thank you. And you know, this is one of the reasons we need change in this election. We've backtracked on housing affordability in the last 4 years immensely. You know, when my wife and I were in our late 20s, she was an early career nurse. I worked at Bissell Center, a not-for-profit. We could afford to buy our first home in Edmonton in our 20s. That is not the case for young people today. So we've done more damage in the last 4 years to our housing policy by constraining the ability to build where we need to build. So my housing plan talks about 5,000 new rental units a year in TOD areas. Remember when we built billions of dollars of trains and we said hundreds of billions would come in real estate investment? We need to reopen and accelerate large sites, and we need to fix the zoning bylaw, which nobody on any door that I've met likes at all.
All right, let's kick off the free debate, starting with Mr. Cartmel. You can respond to this.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to respond to Mr. Jaffer's comment. You know, I own all of the decisions I've made. I am sorry that I missed that day, but I want to remind everyone that 8 days previous, 300 people were gathered in council chambers to have that very conversation. And twice, Andrew and his friends on council, what he describes as the best council ever, decided not to have that conversation. And I'll remind you, in that day, I moved the motion to halt this thing until we could complete this election period and make the changes that we really need after the election. And again, I was shouted down and not provided the opportunity to move that motion.
Mr.
Some
Knack, do you
people
want to
are
respond
interested in
to
playing games, not in actually having
Sorry,
the
Mr.
conversations that you want to have.
All right, Mr. Knack, he mentioned you directly if you want to respond.
I think just important to note that I don't think anyone shouted down any motion. It was illegal to make that motion, and that's a really important distinction. But
it's not illegal for people to make laws to make laws. That's
you know why?
They both voted for it originally.
You'll get an opportunity to respond. Let's just hear from Mr. Knack.
And yeah, so to finish is that what I'm worried about here is we're talking about either repealing the bylaw or substantially going back to 10 or 15 years ago on how we develop in our mature neighborhoods. That will compromise our housing affordability. If we're all worried about that, why are we looking to go back 10 or 15 years in our rules, which have actually, what we've done in the last 10 years is actually developed substantially more affordable housing across the city in new neighborhoods and in older neighborhoods. We can't walk that back. Too few people have the opportunity to get a home. The last thing we should be doing is walking that back.
The infill roadmap.
We have 15 seconds left.
The infill roadmap provided tremendous opportunities, and we can still make lots of progress in our infill neighborhoods without plexes everywhere. The two councillors today on the stage voted for it. They didn't even ask the question, oh, are you able to subdivide a lot and put 8 on each side so you go from 1 home to 16? It was sloppy, lazy planning, and we need to fix it. And that's how we help affordability in our city.
All right, that concludes our discussion. We are already on the last question tonight. Doug, you'll be asking this one. And Mr. Cartmel, you can tackle it before the others. Doug, you have the floor.
Bike lanes are one example of the provincial government. Bike lanes are one example of the provincial government taking a more active role in civic issues. The transportation minister, for example, has talked about forcing the city to remove bike lanes. How will you work with the provincial government, and what kind of provincial involvement in civic affairs would you consider acceptable?
Thank you for the question. You know, any modern, contemporary, forward-looking city is going to have a master transportation plan that includes a roadway network, a transit network, and a bike network. The important thing to remember, though, is that those networks cannot conflict with each other. They need to complement each other. We are building bike lanes in places where people haven't asked for them, don't want them, and where they're not effective. I absolutely support a bike plan, but a bike plan that integrates with the rest of our transportation master plan. What's more, we need to ask people how they move through their community. And we're not asking those questions. Bike lanes that end at blank walls on the Yellowhead are not effective bike lanes.
All right, Mr. Knack, you can respond.
So we shouldn't accept any provincial interference in things that are municipal jurisdiction. Let's be very clear. They're duly elected to address what they need to. We need to focus on our needs, and our transportation network is something that we should be focused on. Part of why I'm running as an independent in this election is because we need to be able to work with people across the political spectrum. Over 12 years as a city councillor, I've been working with people on the right, on the left, in the middle, to secure billions of dollars of investment into things like the LRT in the West End, and making sure that we're actually investing in the things that help make this city more affordable and more safe for Edmontonians. So I'm happy to have those conversations, but at the same time, I will make sure that the provincial government is respecting duly elected municipal councils and what is our jurisdiction.
Thank you. Mr. Jaffer, you can weigh in.
You know, when it's minus 30 outside, I try to find someone on a bike lane to ask, so how do you enjoy using the bike lane? And it's been a little bit tough. I'm hoping that that might change in the near future. But when people see their taxes rise and $100 million allocated to bike lanes when there's other services that we've all talked about that have suffered, you have to ask yourself, do we have to get back to the basics? Maybe it's a good idea in funding what is important to citizens. Now, I'm not suggesting we stop or rip out bike lanes, and I'll talk to the province about making sure they don't do that either. But we have to put a freeze on bike lanes because there's been outcomes that have been very negative. Right behind my restaurant on 83rd and 109th, there was density project that you love so much, Andrew. There's going to be a density project. It was stopped because a bike lane came right down the front, and they couldn't even do the project in the end.
Your time's up, Mr. Walters.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is an example of too much politics. And whether you're a transit rider or a car driver, or a pedestrian or a cyclist, you deserve to be safe. We need to build infrastructure that keeps everybody safe. But I don't want to talk to the province about bike lanes. I don't want them to intrude in our business. But what I want to talk to them about is shared economic goals, shared investment opportunities to bring money and investment into our city so that we can grow our non-residential tax base. I want to talk to them about housing and homelessness so that we can solve this problem once and for all and help people get the treatment and help that they need to live better lives. This is why we need change in this election. We can't continue to try the same old things and expect different results. We need different leadership that is collaborative and focused on the issues that matter to you.
Okay, Mr. Mohammed, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm a big outdoor guy. I do like to bike, but I support bike lanes where they make sense. That's the university, downtown, White Ave, around the River Valley. Not in like 199th and 195th Avenue. I don't support sacrificing major roadways for them. It's key to note that only about 1% of Edmontonians really travel by bike, but that means 99% of us are traveling by motor vehicle. We're spending $13 million every year just to maintain them and planning to spend $306 million to build them. This gridlock is slowing emergency response times and taking away parking for mobility-challenged residents. We can support cyclists, but not at the expense of overwhelming majority of Edmontonians. Thank you.
Okay, let's get to our final free debate for tonight, and you can continue on your point if you want, Mr. Mohammed. Go ahead.
Well, very good. Since this is the last question, it's funny that we do things like bike lanes in a winter city. Even though I do like to bike, I will not bike when it's minus 30. Same with our single-use bylaw. We have reusable bags now that it's net negative for the environment, yet we think that human behavior will change by charging $2 a bag. I find that we do things backwards without doing full research into the actual economics. What you look at in terms of bike lanes, you measure travel by kilometers traveled, not the number of people using them. And I think that's the big misrepresentation there. Thank you.
Who else would like to jump in on this one?
Well, I was going to just picking up on. See, we are civil. That's nice. We can get along. I think one of the things that I do just want to come back again when we have the pressures that we've seen, and again, it comes back to value for dollar. When people are having to pay the highest level of property taxes that they've ever paid, and in such a short period of time where those taxes have climbed so steeply, you need to ask yourself, is some of the spending, like $100 million budgeted for bike lanes, or some of the other infrastructure issues that can be put on hold, should we not give ourselves a shake, look at common sense sort of solutions to focus on those areas so people aren't falling in their potholes, slipping in the winter because they can't get their snow cleared, especially in side streets and places where seniors are walking, and as well look at areas that are core, like we talk about safety. These are things that we need to prioritize, and we can't do it by doing so many things for so many people. It just doesn't work.
Mr. Mack, go ahead.
I worry that we're missing the main point of the question here, which is that are we willing to stand up when the province is looking to insert themselves in things that aren't their responsibility? Yeah. Are we willing to actually, and I think it's important that we say that loud and clear, that we actually know that we'll do that.
We can say that we're going to stand up to the province, but that's also all we've really said in a lot of ways.
There hasn't been a relationship.
And we need to work on a relationship that is productive for our citizens, for our people here in Edmonton. It can't just be about standing up to them. And absolutely, they cannot intrude in our jurisdiction. They can't boss us around and tell us what to do. But they can say no to us, and that's why we have to. That's why we need change.
Standing up to the
human
establish
not provincial
better leadership, better opportunities to bring our whole city together.
Mr. Cartmel, we have about 20 seconds. Go ahead.
If we're going to stand up for our city, we need to do it in a responsible, respectful way. Using your social media as a bullhorn to try to embarrass other elected officials and then expecting them to take the call or answer the knock on the door is not a productive strategy. It's going to take relationships. And I'm tired of when I have a conversation with somebody in the province, having to answer 10 minutes of questions on somebody else's social media.
All right, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for the debate portion. We knew the event would fly by tonight, so each of you now have the opportunity to make your final pitches to voters for the night. So closing statements will be done in the reverse order that we started, and that means we begin with you, Mr. Cartmel.
Thank you. Edmontonians are frustrated. They don't feel like they're getting value for the taxes they pay. Core services aren't keeping up, projects overlap and drag on, and too often people don't feel safe in their own city. This must change. I'm an engineer and a business owner, not a career politician. For me, leadership has always meant cutting through excuses, demanding accountability, and making sure projects are done right. As mayor, I'll do the same. I'll ask the right questions, stop waste and overlap, and make sure taxpayers get the core services and safe communities that they're paying for. I know we can build it better because I've done it my whole career. And I know that a great city doesn't have to cost more. It just needs to be managed better. But no mayor can do this alone. One vote at City Hall won't change the direction of this city. That's why I've built the Better Edmonton Party. With the right plan, the right team, and the most experience, we'll hit the ground running at the day after the election. In the first 100 days, Edmontonians will see results, safer streets, smarter spending, and services that work. We can't afford to waste any more time. On October 20th, I ask for your vote and for your support of the Better Edmonton team. Together we can restore trust, deliver results, and build a city that works for everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Cartmel. Your closing statement, Mr. Mohammed. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm not a career politician. I am one of you. I've lived the struggles so many Edmontonians face, and I know what it means to fight for every opportunity. I've worked as a waiter, a mechanic, a starving student through university, and I ultimately became a pediatric dental surgeon with a thriving practice. Throughout my career, I prioritized service and giving back, whether on missions abroad or right here at home in Edmonton. My opponents have each been in office for about a decade. They've had their chance to make things better, but failed. And Edmontonians are not stupid. We see the decline in our city. And I don't feel it's right to give the same people that put us into this mess another shot at making things even worse. I'm not backed by lobbyists or corporate donors. I'm backed by my belief that our city can do better. Freezing taxes, balancing budgets, making our neighborhoods safe and more affordable. These are not easy goals, but they are worth fighting for. I will work tirelessly to make our city safer, stronger, fairer for every Edmontonian, not just a privileged few. On October 20th, let's choose change, let's choose courage, let's take our city back. It's time to shine, Edmonton. Let's shine brighter together.
All right, up. Mr. Walters, your turn.
Thank you. On October 20th, Edmontonians have a choice. We can vote for the status quo, or we can vote for change. The last 4 years have left Edmontonians frustrated, divided, feeling stuck. But I believe our best days are still to come. This is our moment to turn the page, and I'm ready to lead that change with energy and the right experience. I will lead a city where we put politics aside and come together to solve the toughest issues we face, where we tackle public safety and homelessness head on, where we keep costs low, grow responsibly, and create opportunity for everyone. I will lead a city that works, where people don't spend all summer stuck in construction gridlock and all winter praying for a snowplow. I will lead a city where my 2 boys can feel safe taking the LRT to university, where they can one day afford to buy a home of their own, and where they'll choose to build their lives. I will lead a city where people and businesses choose to stay, grow, and thrive. A city that is beautiful, that's connected, and that's enduring. So I'm asking you to join me to build a safer and more affordable Edmonton, a city that we can all be proud to call our home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Over to you, Mr. Jaffer.
I thought you looked at me when you said vote for change, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I didn't.
Edmonton,
I didn't, just to be clear.
Edmonton, my story is proof of what a city can be. My parents, like so many others before them, came here with so little and turned that into a better life. For their family, for me. That's the kind of opportunity every family who calls a city home should be able to count on. However, today, too many of us watch that opportunity slip away. Tax hikes keep getting rubber stamped by the same councils. These candidates voted for nearly 40% tax hikes in just the last decade, while everything has gotten worse. Council has let spending spiral out of control, and families are the ones paying the price. We can't keep going down the same path, with the same people, with the same ideas. 70% of this city agrees we're headed in the wrong direction. Edmonton needs real change, change that puts you first. It's time for someone who will lower your taxes. Others on stage have said it can't be done, but they're the ones that got us into this mess. We can put public safety first and clean up our streets and actually hire more police to make our communities, buses, and trains safer. Just like you and your families, this city needs to live within its means so we can invest in what matters and what actually works for all of Edmonton. On October 20th, I ask, do you put your trust in real change? Our city has so much to offer. Together, we can be the city of champions again.
Right on time. All right, thank you so much. Mr. Knack, you're the last one.
Thank you. Edmonton is a great city. And yes, we have some work to do. But I know we can do this work together. For me, leadership means being independent, accountable, honest, and transparent. In my 12 years on council, I've never taken the privilege of serving for granted. Not once. I've made hard decisions to get real results. I've voted against the pack when it mattered. I've found compromise when others thought it was impossible. I've reached across divides and brought people together towards real solutions. And I've always done it with purpose, not ego. As your mayor, I will work to protect and improve the services we all rely on and that make our communities stronger. I'll manage our finances responsibly. I'll lead with integrity. And I'll keep bringing people together to make Edmonton more affordable, more safe, and more ambitious. Thank you.
All right, a big round of applause for our candidates tonight.
There you go. Thank you. Good job, everybody.
Yeah, first one.
Don't fall.
Thank you so much for sharing your vision and your ideas with us tonight. I'd also like to thank our panelists here tonight, Doug, Shay, and Chris. If you can give them a round of applause. And a huge thank you to our live audience. This was a very special night for all of us. Thank you for being so engaged, so informed in this very important democratic process. Don't forget to have your voices heard by voting on October 20th. And that wraps up our mayoral debate tonight. Thank you for being with us, and have a good night.